May I now invite the dynamic Miss Meenakshi Sahni, Vice Chairperson NPSC and Principal, Modern School, Vasant Vihar, to kindly moderate the valedictory session. Over to you, ma'am.
Many thanks, Ritu. Um, After the wonderful 2 days, marathon days filled with inspiration, excitement, and lots of areas and perspectives to explore, and thanks to our dynamic chairperson, Sudha Acharya, and team NPSC, we inch closer to the last leg, the last sessions of our conference. And come Monday, we'll all be back to our offices, back to school, and yes, I see some expressions wondering how to bring all that inspiration into action. And if anything, the pandemic has brought people hard to find, most sought after, into our offices, into our living rooms. And we are fortunate to have with us today Professor Sridhar Srivastav. I say he's one of the most sought after people because since the approval of the NEP 2020 in July, which sent a flurry of excitement in the fraternity and a lot of we all became inquisitive as to what it meant for us and how it would be translated into action. A lot of discussions happened. And yet, there is so much more that we need to know because it is in the classroom, it is in the school play fields that this is actually going to be successfully implemented. So, since we have a very condensed capsule of about 15 minutes, I will cut to the chase and request Professor Sridhar Srivastav, who's been a very, very active contributor to the action plan with the NCERT when it comes to the NEP 2020 and the pillars that it is based upon, those being access, equity, quality, and accountability, and the replacement of old structures, the 10+2 structure to the 5+3+3+4. So over to you, Professor Sridhar. Thank you so much for joining us. And it will be wonderful if you could reveal to us what is happening at the NCERT, which can prepare us and give us a glimpse into what the future holds for us in the short term and maybe a little long term as far as school principals are concerned. Sir, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm audible. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Meenakshi, for your kind words, and very good afternoon to you all. And I'm very happy and I'm very grateful that NPSC has invited me, and we will be spending 10-15 minutes from my side, and I will be saying a few words. And respected Padam Shri Dr. Sudha Murthy, who is the chief guest of this session, and Dr. Dinesh Arora, guest of honor, and chairperson and vice chairpersons of the NPSC. When Ms. Jan was just saying, mentioning a few words, access, equity, quality, and accountability. And I would very rightly say that I, being a person of area like assessment of learning, I'm a person of mathematical science. So many things that is there theoretically in the parlance of education, in the sense that anybody who comes with a degree of BA, B.Ed, M.Ed, or PhD in education, learning and all, I might be saying things which I have experienced by virtue of being in NCERT in 20 years and moving around the country. And I have got opportunity, I would say, the last school and the last teacher and the last child. If I say it in my phrase, means the far-flung areas of India I have been able to see, and I have got the chance. And I feel very fortunate that at least being in NCERT, I could get the opportunity to see exactly how this The present number says about 260 million children studying in this country. And what is the range that we have? We have the school like we have in the NPSC, and then many good schools, and then we have the schools where the children and the teacher, different stakeholders are grappling with their day-to-day functioning, or they are enjoying their individual ability or their situational abilities. We are in 21st century, and we have got the first policy of this century. And I would say that this policy attached is associated with the aspiration of this big country and the population dynamics we mentioned. And really, we should not lose any opportunity this time to see that the policy is translated into its real sense. And a few things I would be just mentioning from the policy. There is a kind of transitioning in emphasis in the policy which is posited there, and now there is an emphasis on critical and analytical thinking rather than rote learning. The policy says that students must develop the ability to think analytically, participate in discussions, become adept at speaking, writing, and other 21st century skills, and learn how to learn. Learning how to learn has been mentioned earlier also in earlier policy also. Lifelong learning is a phrase that has been used in earlier policies also. But it has been re-emphasized in slightly different manner in the policy. Like the policy emphasizes uh, on learning key concepts, values, and life skills through deeper experiential learning, analysis, and reflection. That this time we have got a chapter 4 which mentions about the pedagogical and curricular reform that we are foreseeing. We talk about no hard boundaries. We see we say that the policy is saying that there should be no hard boundaries as regard to different subject streams like academic, vocational streams, and at the same time within the academic stream, science, commerce, or social science. So all these flexibility the policy is offering, we have to understand it in very real sense. And herein, I want to say one thing, that when we talk about different stakeholders of school education, normally our mind goes to school, teacher, students, or the system. I say that parents are very, very important stakeholders of school education system, because the child, when going back to the home, parents is the key change maker. And if we talk of the pandemic situation, we all will agree that for these 2 years, if we talk of the foundational stress, the child was with the parents. What I'm trying to say, there are many decisions as regard to the future of the child or the choices of the child. Normally, we have been seeing that parents have been loading their aspirations on child. But if the policy talks about, you say, multidisciplinarity, or talks about subject choices, flexibility, and in the choices, then parents should also come forward and support the choices of the child. This is a point that I want to make. One more point that I am very much, I should say, either worry, or I would say that this is the point that is very important to my mind, is assessment. For assessment, I would say that teacher has a very great role. I give you an example that after a long duration, if child of uh, pre-primary stage or early foundational stage, class 1 or 2, are coming back to school. For them, if the teacher want to assess that how they have or what gap the teacher is finding in the children, surely teacher can either ask from the content the child is expected to be familiar with as per the prescribed curriculum or syllabus of that school. But I would suggest when the children are coming back to school after this long time, we should focus on the learning outcome. We all know that NCERT has posited learning outcomes, and in the whole country, learning outcome is being talked about, and the national education policy suggests that all efforts in the area of teaching learning should surround the learning outcome. So the teacher should assess the child on the basis of the learning outcome, not to go on the content that the child is expected to study in that duration. Even otherwise, when we talk about 21st century skill, when we talk about creativity, collaboration, problem solving, innovation, empathy, appreciating the perspective of others. For all these skills to be there in the child should be given opportunity in day-to-day teaching learning process or teaching learning situation. So this is also a point that I want to make, that assessment is very, very important. One more point I want to make here that we have experienced, because NCERT came out with Mano Darpan under the aegis of government. There we are now finding that mental health has also been an area where we all have to think and we have to be ready with. Children are having situations of mental health or mental illness, I should say exactly. We should be very, very much aware about that. Different kind of pressures are there. ICT has to be leveraged, but along with ICT, children should be able to choose the correct information. There is a abundance of information. In the name of e-content, we have a lot of contents, e-contents. There could be certain e-contents which are really, really very useful, and there should be peer sharing of that e-content, and there should be peer sharing among teachers also about the successful methodology for making children understand certain concepts. So these are certain points that I wanted to put forth. One more point which I find that the policy, if I quote from the policy, it says that the I'm just quoting from the policy document. In introduction, it says the national education policy lays particular emphasis on the development of the creative potential of each individual. It is based on the principle that education must develop not only cognitive capacities, that is both the foundational capacity of literacy and numeracy and the higher order cognitive capacities such as critical thinking and problem solving, but also social, ethical, and emotional capacities and dispositions. These social, ethical, and emotional capacities are very important, uh, that the policy is emphasizing, and we all agree with that. But how this will be really achieved in school as a learning space along with the uh, family or the parents, that is very important. As you know that we all are presently discussing under the umbrella of National Progressive Schools. So we should be very forthcoming to this idea. And towards the end of my oration, I would say that we should offer such a education to the child where the child is able to connect to the society and the society is able to connect to the child. So with these words, I will stop here because we are already running behind the schedule. So I thank you all again. And with this, I stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Srivastav. May I just ask one question, which I perhaps think is uppermost in every principal's mind? First of all, thank you so much for sharing with us the possibilities and challenges associated with the implementation of the policy. However, there is so much that we need to do at a school level, and we've been talking about 21st century skills, but how much justice we can do to them rests also on how much content it is that we have to deliver. And we all know that one of the important roles that the NCERT plays is in the printing, publishing of textbooks. And we all want to know from you, Professor, when do we expect the new textbooks? How will they have changed when we get them? And how much scope, if any, will they leave with us to do justice to the skills that we are talking about for the last 2 days?
You see, I take your question in two parts. One is that you must be aware, I'm sure, about a recent exercise being undertaken in NCERT that is about reducing the content, keeping in view the pandemic situation. And you know that in the months of December also, we were talking about the third wave and we were quite worried. So keeping that in mind, within the same textbook, there would be some reduction in content, and that would be keeping the criteria would be duplicacy in content within the same stage. For example, class 6, 7, 8, there is some duplicacy of the topic that will be reduced and the difficulty level and all. The second part of the question that I take from your side, keeping in view the para 4.5 of chapter 4 of National Education Policy, which talks about reducing the content load. Please be clear, I am not saying reducing the curriculum load. I am saying reducing the content load and providing the children time and opportunity for inquisitive thinking, questioning, and peer discussion, experiential learning. For that, the new set of books from NCERT, in my personal capacity as Joint Director NCERT, I am saying when this new set of books will be coming, surely those will be providing opportunity for teacher within a school to decide that how the learning outcomes for that stage should be achieved, providing children ample opportunity for experiential learning, discussion, and higher order thinking and discussion for collaborative problem solving. This is what I can assure you as of now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your thoughts, Professor, and which, I mean, coming from your experience, which is as wide as it is deep. And now, maybe please request you to release the NPSC publication on best practices, which has been put together with contributions from teachers and principals across the schools. And may I request everyone to kindly hold their copy up?
Yes, yes.
Thank you once again. Really grateful, Dr. Srivastav.